So many questions. Also, that's what Joshua talks about. Are the people in on Zoom? Where? So they're not in. Yeah, we have 1 minute. So glad that we came today. I had that value all that stuff. I could have never done that.
Okay, we're ready.
You ready? So we need to turn our mics on.
Yes, please turn your mics on, sorry. And please talk into your mic. It's very hard on the recording to hear. Yeah.
I'll call the meeting to order, the Bandon City Council. Do you have the roll call, Jim? All right, the first item on the agenda will be Pastor Jim Minkler with the Seabird Church of God giving the invocation. Please stand.
Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for being with us and bringing us here to this moment. Lord, we ask that you go before us in this meeting, that you would bring your wisdom to guide us, to guide what's said and done here for the best of this town. Give wisdom to all those who will be speaking, Lord, especially to the council members. Thank you for them, Lord. And Lord, just for this place that you've allowed us to be in, thank you for the scenery, the weather, all that's happening this week. We ask your blessing on Cranberry Festival, all the people who come to visit. Businesses will benefit from that. Above all, I just want to thank you for who you are, caring about our needs. Pray this in your name, Father. Amen.
Amen. Please stay standing for the flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, let's do this. First item on the agenda is the Greater Bandon Association with the Volunteer of the Month. Josh, you gonna take the photo?
She's gonna do it out in the hall.
Okay.
Okay, microphone is on. You can come. Sherry. That way I can see you. Good evening, Madam Mayor, City Councilors, City staff. It's my pleasure to introduce the September Greater Bandon Association Volunteer of the Month recipient, Sherry Wright. Since moving to Bandon in 2018, Sherry has truly embraced the spirit of our community through her dedicated volunteer work. At the Bandon Historical Society Museum, Sherry's impact is felt every Saturday morning when she warmly welcomes visitors at the front desk. She also coordinates the museum's gift shop, handling everything from ordering merchandise to inventory management, which I'm sure is no small task. She serves on the museum's board and played a key role in updating the procedures and policy guide last year, which I'm sure also was not a small task. Her willingness to pitch in, whether setting up or cleaning up after events, shows her commitment to making everything run smoothly. Sherry's contributions extend to the Bandon Library, where she has served as board chair since 2022. Her leadership and organizational skills have been instrumental in revising policies and advocating for the library. Her successful presentation of the library's proposal for funding to 100 Strong is just one example of her effectiveness. Christine Kingsbury, our library director, has nothing but praise for Sherry, commending her for being both amazing and incredibly organized in every task she undertakes. Today, we celebrate Sherry's dedication, her warm smile, and her invaluable contributions to our community. Sherry, congratulations on receiving the Greater Bandon Association Volunteer of the Month Award. Oh, and there's our photographers here. Sherry is receiving an engraved plaque and also a gift certificate to Winter River Books. Congratulations, Sherry. Thank you for everything. Thank you, Amy.
Congratulations, Sherry. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the proclamation for the Bandon Hospital. This is the 25-year anniversary of what I call the new Bandon Hospital at the east end of 11th Street. And Ray's here, Ray Hino, our CEO, is here tonight to accept this, so I am going to read this into the record. City of Bandon proclamation to celebrate the 25th anniversary of the date of September 9th, 1999, when the current Southern Coos Hospital was dedicated. Whereas Dr. Roland Leap founded the first emergency hospital in Bandon in 1912 on Alabama Street across from the Masonic Temple. Whereas R.L. Leap Memorial Hospital was in operation from 1937 to 1955 on First Street in Old Town. The Southern Coos Health District was formed in 1955 by public vote. The first Southern Coos Hospital was constructed on the bluff overlooking the Coquille River and provided hospital services continually to the South Coast community since opening in 1960. On land donated by Bill Magnus, Southern Coos Hospital, as we know it today, was constructed in 1998-99 and dedicated in its current location on September 9th, 1999. The Southern Coos Hospital and Health Center campus has continued to expand with the health center and business offices constructed in 2015. Southern Coos Hospital and Health Center, as a critical access hospital, provides a broad scope of services needed in the community, including 21-bed inpatient care, 24/7 emergency department, surgical services, clinical laboratory, medical imaging, swing bed care, multi-specialty clinic, osteopathic care, mental health, diabetic and wound care, pain management, and other services. Services are provided to and available for the residents of the city of Bandon, surrounding communities, and thousands of visitors and tourists that visit the area each year. Therefore, be it known that on the 8th day of September 2024, I, Mary Shamahorn, Mayor of Bandon, do hereby declare that in commemoration of the hospital's silver anniversary, Southern Coos Hospital and Health Center held its 25th anniversary celebration from 1 to 4 on Sunday and invited the public to participate. And Ray's here to. It was a great celebration yesterday, and many of the employees who were here 25 years ago and worked over there were present. 4 of our employees, I'm also on the hospital board. 4 of our employees had also worked at least 25 years for the hospital. Okay, Dana, you're going to be introducing your new rare member.
And I'll come up here, and Solon, I'll ask you to come up and stand here. Yes, I wanted to introduce you to our newest sort of employee in the planning department. This is Solon DeCrozic. She is with the RARE AmeriCorps program, which is Resource Assistance for Rural Environments. She is a 2024 grad of the Planning, Public Policy and Management program at the University of Oregon. She's bilingual in Spanish. She went to school in Woodburn, so she learned there. And she's super passionate about transportation, public engagement, and local planning. So over the next year through July, she'll be here working on an update to our citizen involvement program. She'll be assisting with the Parks Master Plan update, and she'll be helping out with the architectural review overlay zone update. So just wanted to introduce
Welcome.
you when you see her.
Hope you know what you're getting into.
It's all fun. Don't
Okay.
scare away.
We'll find out.
This is her first day.
We'll find out. Okay.
Thank you.
Now, next we have the consent calendar items. Is there anything on the consent agenda that anybody wants to remove so they can discuss?
Just the police department. Thank you very much. 100 stops in vehicles and lots of speeding citations.
Thought I had a,
There he is. Thank you.
I know I had a question. It says municipal court report for the month of May. There's not month of May. I wondered. Okay. That's the only question I had, was why we were in May and now it is in September. All right, good.
Move to approve.
Been moved by Peter, seconded by Jerry, or
Jerry.
to approve the consent calendar. All in favor? Unanimous. All right, we'll go down to the different. The first item is the new business is the purchasing Altech DH50 hydraulic derrick. I guess that's you, Tori?
Yes,
Or
ma'am.
somebody?
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. I'm new to digger derricks. I was first introduced to a digger derrick when I was given a tour of electric utility by the former supervisor who just recently retired. But digger derricks are very important for what we do operationally. It's utilized across all of our departments. It is a multi-skilled tool. It is instrumental for digging holes, setting poles, and also installing infrastructure. Digger derricks are very large vehicles. The one that we have currently is a 2006 model. And over the past 3 years, we've incurred significant cost in its maintenance, totaling approximately 66,000 in just maintenance of that vehicle over the course of 3 years. So we are now looking at replacing some of our fleet vehicles. And the one that's scheduled is the hydraulic digger derrick. And that's at a cost of $458,466. We understand that the price tag is extremely large. The lead time for delivery of this vehicle is 36 months. So what we intend to do is in the next 3 years, we'll program funding so that we have the amounts available for when the truck is delivered to the city. So with that, we are seeking city council authorization to purchase a vehicle. We also have Kevin, who is our acting supervisor in the electric utility here. You may want to stand up and wave.
Hi, Kevin.
So
No.
Kevin is currently acting as our electric utility supervisor. And if you have any specific questions on digger derricks, I'm sorry to say, but that's about all I know about the vehicle. Kevin's here to answer any specific questions. Thank you.
You kind of answered the question. I don't see it in here, but where the money's coming from. But
Yeah.
you're saying we'll have 3 years to
Yeah.
come up with the money?
Correct. Yes, we'll
That's a
program
lot of
that out
money.
over the
Okay.
course.
Do
of
we
the
have to
year.
make a deposit with the order?
No,
Really?
just
Oh, that's because they could sell it anytime, I'm sure.
probably, and the lead time's 3 years.
Yeah.
But what we intend to do is earmark money from the electric utility
Sure.
to pay for it.
Will our current vehicle last 3 years with Band-Aids?
If you like, Kevin,
Go
why
on
don't you
front of
approach
my-
the podium and speak to the mic so everybody can
You're
hear?
going to treat it very kindly, right?
Oh, yes, very. Actually, they actually came down in price. It was 500 and something when we first went out to bid, but the lead time came down, so the price came down.
Oh.
And that is a best estimate for, because it's 3 years out.
Mhm.
They're figuring that'll be really close, but it could fluctuate just a little bit. Our truck is limping along, but it is a 2006 model and it was used when we bought it. It was a rental. So I think it was fairly abused before we got it,
Yeah,
but it is very paramount to everything we do.
right. Okay, we'll cross our fingers that it makes it 3 years.
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yeah, is there a limit on the amount that the price can go up in 3 years? I was reading in here that, and it said something about, we can't control prices and stuff, but is there a limit?
They figured 7% a year is what they told me.
So that's the price that you're paying for it now is with that extra on there.
Correct.
Okay, but there's no limit.
No, but I mean, I would think there's gotta be a limit, but I don't know for sure.
When we place our order, can we lock in a price plus a certain percentage for the next 3 years? Or
Apparently not.
they're not willing to do that?
It's my understanding that they do inform us of the potential for escalating cost due to materials and labor.
Mhm.
But if the amount comes in above what we have obtained authorization for, we'll come back to the city council to have that approved.
Okay.
Okay, sounds good.
And as we know, the majority of those funds generated from the electric utility have to go back into
Right.
the electric utility.
Right.
So if we're allocating a portion of those per year, I think we'll be okay.
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay, do
Thank
I
you,
hear-
Sorry,
Kevin.
June.
Do I hear- do
Thank you.
I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Been moved by Madeline, seconded
Huh?
by Josh to approve the purchase of.
Yeah, I'm not gonna read it.
50 hydraulic derrick.
No, it's on.
Are you talking about?
You gotta move it over closer to your face. Yeah, I know,
It's
it's,
gonna be right in
right
front of your
there.
face.
Really?
I know.
While I'm trying to read? Well, you got the message anyway. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Okay. The next item, 4.2, awarding the contract to prepare a city park master plan to Doherty Landscape Architects, DLA. Dana?
Yes, thank you. You might not remember this project. It's a couple years old. It did take us a while to move on it, but we did receive a grant from the Oregon Parks and Recreation Department. At the same time, we received the money for the playground equipment. This is to prepare a master plan for City Park. So not a master, we already have a parks master plan that's sort of largely all of our park space in town, but this is specific to City Park. What we wanted to do was prepare a plan for the next 5 to 10 years for actual improvements that we need to make that we've been talking about for a long time, but haven't really figured out how to make happen. So we put out an RFP and had a selection committee of the city manager, the public works director, and myself reviewing them. We had 4 applicants or respondents that had responsive applications. Of the 4, Doherty Landscape Architects had the lowest cost and also had a scope that we really appreciated. All projects came in right around the same $30,000, which was the amount we put out and said would be allowed. Just to keep you on the loop in case you don't remember, the grant was for $24,000 and the city's requirement is $6,000. This project came in at $29,500. This is also one of the projects where you have to accept all proposals and then award the contract. So please let me know if you have any
Mayor,
questions.
I make a
Any-
motion to accept all this.
Wait a minute, any questions? Anybody have any questions?
Go for it.
I'm
Make a motion to accept all proposals.
Second.
Been moved by Madeline, seconded by Peter, that we accept all responsive proposals. All those in favor? Unanimous.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion to award the contract to Doherty Landscape Architects, DLA, in the amount of $29,500 and authorize the city manager to execute the contractor on behalf of the city.
Actually, it should be contract.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, I mean, we're executing
Executing
the
the
contractor. We
contractors.
don't want to do that, but that's.
Not a good idea.
Don't think you want to do that yet.
Who seconded that? I'll second. Jerry, all right, it's been moved by Madeline, seconded by Jerry, that we award the contract to Doherty Landscape Architects. All those in favor? Yeah, that was the first thing I noticed, execute the
I know.
contractor. I thought,
Now, this is gonna include that skate park, right?
It could, yeah. So we'll have an opportunity for public involvement throughout the process. So if you want to see skate park, let us know. But yeah, that's one of the items we would like to talk about.
okay, the next item is 4.3, pre-implementation compliance measures to address changes to the National Flood Insurance Program Endangered Species Act integration. Now, this is something that I think could impact a lot of development and
Yeah.
future development, including I'm worrying about the 750,000 auditorium that the museum is presently building down next to the museum.
Yep.
And before we do anything, I would like to see exactly, I mean, we could read through this, but we're not going to understand how this is really going to impact local development. And I think that's what we need to understand.
Well, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm becoming the bad news Nichols over here for you because it is a very challenging change to our floodplain development code. I'll just go through it briefly. This is all in the staff report, but so the National Flood Insurance Program is a program of the Federal Emergency Management Administration. Cities participate in, I'll use the acronym of NFIP to be able to provide flood insurance to people who own properties in the city's floodplain. This is often a requirement of mortgages, so this isn't something that the city can really stop participating in. It's really something that is required, even though it's voluntary. The city has a floodplain development code, which is, we just adopt the model code that we get every couple years from FEMA. So this is not really much different. What you're seeing now is our code, but with some highlighted changes in there for the model code we did provide to you. So often we're required at a minimum to adopt the model code. It'll tell us in there if there's any room for flexibility. Often it's for that code to become more restrictive, not less restrictive. And what happened was that is triggering this particular change is that in the early 2000s, there was a lawsuit in which FEMA was required to consider the impact of development in the floodplain on endangered species. I think particularly at the time they were talking about salmon species. What federal agencies are required to do when there's a lawsuit that claims there could be adverse impacts to these fish species, they have to prepare what's called a biological opinion. So biologists actually come in and make a determination, is that true? And in the BIOP was issued, I believe, in 2016, and it did say that there was a jeopardy effect, which meant that there was a negative impact on multiple endangered species. So in response, FEMA has given us some options, if you can call them that. Those options are that by December 1st, we have to determine whether we will prohibit all new development in our floodplain, if we will handle them on a permit by permit basis, or if we will adopt this model code. My guess is that prohibiting all new development in the floodplain is a no-go. Permit by permit is going to be very challenging from what we understand from both a staff perspective and the applicant perspective. They would have to provide a pretty lengthy report, making determination that their floodplain development did not have a negative impact on endangered species. So the most logical outcome here is that you choose the model code. We don't have to make a decision until December 1st, and these are just the pre-implementation compliance measures. We don't have to come into full compliance until 2027, but we do have to have something decided by December 1st and then adopted by the end of July. So tonight was just to sort of give you an opening to what's going on, provide you with a little bit of detail. And we will be coming back at a subsequent meeting with a request for determination, because we do have to file that decision. I'll also let you know that there are some other groups. I believe Tillamook County is heavily involved in trying to better understand the implications of these ordinance changes. And I think you're going to attend with me, but we're looking at attending the land use issues in Oregon conference, in which that person is presenting and providing a little bit more information about what our choices are here and what the implications are. So before I close, I'll just say, if you have any questions tonight, I'm happy to try to answer them. We are also relatively new at understanding this ordinance, but I'm also happy to take those questions down and provide more information to you at the next meeting.
Actually,
Go ahead.
actually, in here, they refer to several different levels of floodplains or types of floodplains. Do you have a map of the abandoned area with all those different things on it?
Yes, we do. We use, probably the easiest place to find it is Coos County hosts a hazard mapper that is on the city's website, which I'm happy to send you a link for, and it will show you if it's an AE or a V or an AO, that sort of thing. So
Yeah, would you do that?
yes, I will send it to all of you, so you're all aware of what properties are in the floodplain.
So Dana, when is this conference that you're going to?
The conference is early December. So yeah, we probably won't have more information by the time we have to select something, but the city just has to make the selection by December 1st, and then we have multiple months to implement it. We have until the end of July.
And is that model code locked in? Is that a working
Yeah, I was gonna
document?
say.
Well, what's funny is we only received the model code a couple weeks ago, and that was after we were asked to make a decision on which option we would.
To make a decision on something that's still kind of a working document.
Yes, at the webinar, so city staff attended a webinar that was also attended by many other cities in Oregon, who asked a lot of questions about the legality of this ordinance, about the expedited time frame in which we're being asked to make a decision without a lot of information. So we're following that closely and seeing if there's any potential or upcoming changes to that.
And the last question, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, the last question I had is about that biological opinion. And if they're pointing a finger and saying that it's the endangered species, the salmon, being the volume going down on the Coquille River, are we involving the tribe in that conversation to protect the salmon? Is it just, what I'm concerned about is a blanket adoption of an ordinance that locks us in for the next however many years.
Yeah, well, so I think it's a good question. My understanding is this model ordinance, cities, most of Western Oregon cities that are affected by this, so any place that has a salmon population in their river, they're also being asked to adopt this model code, and there aren't really, we don't really have a choice.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we could consult with the local tribe, but it wouldn't change the fact that we likely have to adopt this code. And just to be clear to the model code, what it says is that there's no new net impact in the floodplain allowed, which,
But making the
Means-
determination on that
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
gonna be a little questionable.
Yeah,
Because if we add sidewalks and lay concrete in Old Town,
mhm.
they could make the argument that the biological impact of the salmon and could stop any development.
Well, and I think that's that permit by permit, that if each project were required to submit a sort of findings document that had to make that sort of argument, that's where there's some opportunity maybe for appeal, like what you're saying, but otherwise the model code is supposed to be a little bit more clear and objective. Because it has to be applied to residential properties as well.
okay, so Dana, on this document, I want to research it more. The yellow highlights are
The changes.
the changes to
Yeah.
what we have now.
That's
correct?
right. Yeah.
Okay. And once we make a decision on December 1st, we can't recall it and say we want to make another decision?
That's my understanding, but I can find out if there's an opportunity to change. I mean, we don't have to fully, so this is the pre-compliance implementation measure, which means it's sort of our interim measure for whatever actually happens in 2027. So there may be an opportunity within that timeframe to change what we're doing. There was some concern from other cities, though, about going the moratorium route because Oregon state law has specific requirements about what you do with a moratorium and how long that can be in effect. And then the permit by permit option also doesn't really follow state law because you'd still have to have a code adopted that was clear and objective for houses. So anyway, I think there's still, what I'm saying is I think there's still some stuff up in the air that FEMA and the state of Oregon are trying to figure out. And so my guess is we'll learn more as cities start making a decision on the pick'ems.
Okay,
But I will find out if there's if there's a clear answer on that one.
yeah.
And one last question would be, if we don't have to have this implemented by 2027, if there are projects started, would they be considered grandfathered in?
That's my question, because here we are proceeding, we got a $750,000 bequeath from a man who died to build an auditorium next to the museum in the
And
paved parking lot.
Madam Mayor, not just that, we've been working on this jetty pathway
Yeah, right.
for a
Mhm.
long time. We have money allocated for that, so.
Yeah, my understanding and Shayla could correct me if I'm wrong, but you are subject to the rules in place at the time that you apply. So if you don't have an actual application in before that date, then you are subject to the new rules.
Before the date of 2027
Before we change our code. So
or December?
no, December would be the date in which you're required to decide which path you want to go. And we have to sometime between December 1st and July 31st, adopt that code. So I couldn't tell you the exact time frame, but
Okay, so
For
if we came in March or April, then probably, and got approval, then we'd be all right, probably.
it usually takes us like 3 to 6 months to adopt any code amendment. So
So
there's
what is-
still time.
I'm sorry to continue.
No,
So
that's
what-
good.
What
This is-
what is the benefit of going on a case by case basis if we have to have our development code in place? If we're just doing a blanket adoption of new floodplain development code, and then we do have the option of going with a case by case basis, there really is no advantage to doing that because they still have to adhere to our floodplain development code.
Well,
there's no
so
benefit to it.
we could rescind our current code and do everything on a case by case basis, and they gave specific criteria that each application would have to meet, but it would be unique to the project, providing findings that they are not affecting negatively fish species. So it wouldn't be as prescriptive as our code is now, but it's,
Well, legitimately,
Yeah.
that still at least gives some outs for
That's-
possible development. I will
exactly.
say that, rather than
Agree.
just a blanket adoption of something like
Right.
that. Unless,
Okay.
Tori, do you have a comment there?
Yes, I attended the seminar. It was a 4-hour seminar. And I was baffled by the fact that they wanted us to make a decision on something that is relatively new to everybody. So all the cities that are impacted by this were very concerned. My initial inclination was perhaps the case by case basis may provide us with some additional latitude versus the standard boilerplate template that, we have available to us. What we'll do is we'll continue to stay on top of this and do an internal assessment as to what option is best for Bandon. If we were to implement the standard or recommended template, it's very restrictive and it would have long-term financial implications on the city's economic development opportunities in and around the floodplain.
Yep.
So I think the economic implications are unknown at this point. When you're having regulations that prohibit the elimination of trees with 6-inch diameters, you're talking very
Yeah,
restrictive. And we're going to definitely look into this. I understand that there are some other cities that are looking at perhaps challenging what is being prescribed in an effort to allow us additional time to vet this. But a lot of the questions you raise this evening were raised by cities that participated in that seminar. And many of the questions were unanswered by the representatives. They indicated they would have to come back. They indicated this was an initial attempt at establishing this ordinance or requirement, and it may require further massaging in the future, which I would expect.
so I'm sorry to interrupt. Does that mean the cutoff date for December 1st may get moved back?
If there is, a consortium of cities that are successful in challenging that requirement or that mandate, this is also what we would consider an unfunded mandate. So the added strain that it places on city resources, city staff, to process and implement this type of measure is, unknown at this point. And oftentimes when you have federal or state unfunded mandates, the courts look at that as something that's worth challenging. And at least from the state of California standpoint, that was always a basis for cities to challenge, legislation that impacted them financially.
Also understanding biological opinions are just as
Objective.
subjective as legal opinions. Sorry, Shayla. But yeah, that's also a curiosity of mine. Are there other municipalities that are looking at other biological opinions on this?
We've heard whispers of that. I don't think anything has been organized at this point, but Dana and I will further inquire, with our local resources to see, if there's any interest in banding together to at least look at challenging some of this.
Because the biological opinion, whatever, 8 years ago, 10 years ago, was to introduce bass
Right,
to take care of.
exactly what I was gonna say.
Yep.
To
Look what
do
it's
the,
done.
What it
the floodgates, not the floodgates, the abandoned marsh
Years, yeah.
management plan.
Yep.
That was a fiasco.
Yeah.
And we had massive mosquito infestation. So
Yes.
Yeah, so
I
much
don't
for the federal.
necessarily, I don't have any information to question that biological opinion other than their past record.
Right. So at this point, city staff isn't recommending one approach. We're
Yeah.
going to do our due diligence and look into this in great detail and formulate a recommendation that we'll bring before you in December with any additional information we could dig up. And of course, we work closely with the city attorney. We'd also be happy to convey to the state that it's imperative that the local tribe be involved
Yeah.
in getting their support for this, because it would have to be in partnership with the tribe, and
Particularly if we go on a case by case basis,
Yeah.
permit by permit,
Correct.
which
Yeah,
Sure.
I think gives us a better chance.
that's the.
So
only
much
thing.
for home rule government,
Yeah.
with the federal government stepping in and taking away all our authority.
yeah,
With a club over our head, we can't offer the insurance if we don't abide by their rules.
right. We jokingly said that if we were to file a claim against FEMA, it would take much longer than 6 months for us to get that claim awarded. Whereas
Yeah.
looking at cities adopting this in less than 4 months, with the information not even being made available to us up until
Unbelievable.
recently.
Madam Mayor, I move to direct staff to prepare additional resources for consideration at a future meeting if needed.
Second. Been moved by Peter, seconded by Madeline, that you direct staff to prepare additional resources for consideration at a future meeting. If needed, I'm sure it's needed. All those in favor? Unanimous. Next item is 4.4 abandoned electronic Zoom policy.
Yes,
What is
this is
that?
a housekeeping item, something that was initiated by the city recorder, which is a great idea. We'll have an opportunity in the future to develop policies that affect operations citywide, and we'll bring those to the council for their approval in the future. As in this particular item here, we are requesting that the council review and approve the proposed electronic meeting policy. It pertains to the Zoom platform. It is designed to ensure that we comply with Oregon law as it pertains to public meetings and also with our city regulations governed by the municipal code. It accommodates a growing need for virtual participation, and it outlines the roles for participants, including host, which would be the city, panelists, such as yourselves, and attendees, just like you all in the audience. The fiscal impact, currently we have a basic Zoom platform totaling approximately $600 per year for that subscription. It's utilized by city staff when we're conducting meetings with consultants or developers. It's good for small groups. For conducting a public meeting, we're recommending to move towards a Zoom webinar subscription, and that would be at an added cost of $690 per year. This allows the city to accommodate larger groups, such as in the case of Gravel Point when we needed additional participants added. So with that, the combined cost for the Zoom platform would be $1,290 annually. And with that, we're recommending that the city council approve the policy before you this evening.
Okay, so does this policy have anything to do with physically being in City Hall for a meeting when you're an elected official?
No.
This just has to do with our meeting to meeting electronically available.
Yes.
Is that what that
The
means?
requirements for attending a public meeting is stipulated by state law, and that's public meeting law. So a policy couldn't supersede the requirements of public meeting law. This here just establishes the protocols when we choose to conduct a meeting using the Zoom platform.
Okay.
So do we have anyone on Zoom tonight?
Yeah, I don't see anybody.
Why don't we see the icons?
The only ones that you see on the screens are people that are participants.
So the other
we don't-
people are just listening and we don't have any idea who they are.
Guys just don't see their names up there.
So is that a new state law?
No, I think it's our new program.
It's the platform. That's how the webinar subscription platform for Zoom is operated. I don't know the specific details, but we do have techies here
Don't
such
like
as
it.
Ana,
So we're
probably answer that.
we're already operating under the webinar platform?
Yeah, this evening you have a webinar. So that's why you can't see any of the faces. If there were to be any counselors that were not going to participate in person, if you were on Zoom, you would be a panelist and you would be up on screen. Otherwise, everyone else is just watching. And my understanding is the reason why you adopt something like this is otherwise people can just unmute. You can think back to some of our public hearings
Yeah.
where you hear things come through. We are unable to mute people, oops, sorry, during regular meetings, but webinars, everyone is muted except for panelists.
Okay,
Okay.
so this is new, this meeting, because all the other meetings we've had Zoom, we could see who's on Zoom. So this is brand new for tonight.
Yes.
And moving forward, this is the way it'll be.
And this is required by law that this is the way it be?
No, ma'am.
Or it's our decision?
It's just a platform. It's a platform within Zoom of why it's like this.
Well,
There's no legal requirement.
I don't
to make
see,
it look like
I don't see any reason for us, it's just like this. What if all these
So
people
if
came
you-
in and they were wearing sheets and we didn't know who they were? I prefer to know who is in the audience. I prefer.
And I
to
can
know-
tell you who's on Zoom anytime. You can say who's attending the Zoom and I can tell you everybody. It's on a list that we have on the web page that we can see. You just cannot see them up here. And the reason that we're doing this is that if you haven't heard of what Zoom bombing is, I'm sure the school district has because you guys got hit. People can unmute and talk as long as they want about anything they want and we have no control. We can't shut them off. We can't take them off. All we would have to do is adjourn the meeting and everybody would go home. Because by law, we have nothing to do. We can't do anything if they can talk.
But it's never happened to us before. But
Yes,
now that
it has
has
happened
us-
where people have gone on, and have said
Well,
cuss
accidentally
words
they-
and,
Yes, accidentally they.
right. but it's very common now. People are getting it. Also had it, they had a 3-hour meeting with somebody just talking about rights and nothing to do with anything on the agenda.
I think this is a
All right.
fail-safe, and if the
It is a
council
fail-safe.
or the mayor wants to know who's up there, we can provide them a list.
Yeah, I wouldn't
Yeah.
mind just knowing who's listening.
It would help us
No.
if we knew. Okay,
All right.
make a motion. Yes, ma'am. Make a motion, staff's recommendations to city council. Make a motion to approve and formally accept the banned electronic meeting policy.
Second.
Been moved by Madeline, seconded by Jerry and Josh, that we that we approve and formally accept the abandoned electronic meeting policy. All in favor? Okay.
Okay,
Now, the next item is a public hearing item, which the applicant has requested that this be removed, but we're going to open the hearing and then we're going to move it to the October meeting. So it won't last long, but we have to do this so that it doesn't have to be re-advertised. So do I hear a motion to open the hearing?
motion to open hearing for 5.1, public hearing for planning action 24-036. A petition to vacate the portion of Delaware Avenue Southeast between blocks 7 and 8 in the Woodland addition to Bandon.
I'll second that if you need that. Moved by Madeline, seconded by Jerry to open the public hearing. All in favor? And now the motion should be to postpone, is that correct? Or what's the word? Continue
Continue to a date certain, which would be the October
7th
meeting.
at 7 o'clock.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion to continue the public hearing 5.1 on planning action 24-036 to October 7th, 2024.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to move the meeting to October 7th at 7 o'clock. All those in favor? Unanimous. Now we're into public comment, which is a lot of what a lot of people are here tonight for public comment. We have 2 issues that people want to talk about. So what, do you have a list of people that have signed up? All right. And you've given us, okay, okay. And we can ask questions, right? Kim, would it be easier if we've all read this, if we ask you questions? Like, I mean, your big concern here, obviously, is where we got the information that indicated that the donut hole people wanted to be annexed, and then you went, I guess I'm summarizing it. Then you went around and discovered the one person said that he would want to be annexed. 53 people said they did not want their property annexed. 4 people either abstained from answering or said they didn't care, and 15 people said they wanted more information. So it's very clear that there's not an overwhelming desire here from the people in the donut hole to be annexed. That's kind of,
Right, but I really want it on the record that,
well, this definitely will be in the record, for sure. The whole letter will be in the record. Okay,
Okay,
but it is going to be in the record, so don't worry.
okay,
Okay, go on.
what do I do with this?
Yeah, and you just
My-
gave your name and address.
My name is Kim Consul. I live at 54914 Harrison Road, which is in the donut hole. I provided each of the council members with a copy about what I'm about to say and more. The reason that I'm speaking to you all today is regarding the master plan for the donut hole. I watched the meeting where Council President Seymour asked Planning Director Nichols questions regarding why plans were again being made for the donut hole. Ms. Nichols answered, "I think it's become more of an issue because we've been getting a lot more pressure. I think in the past, the city had wanted to annex, but the people didn't. And now we're on sort of the flip side where people want to annex or there's more interest." That statement did not sound like what I had heard from my neighbors. Then I read the application for the Integrated Land Use and Transportation Planning Grant, which was filled out by Planning Director. In that application, she wrote, "With increased interest in annexation from the property owners in the donut hole, it is necessary to develop a roadmap for development." The statements made by the planning director made me want to find out whether the residents of the donut hole truly want to be annexed into the city. I decided to do a door-to-door survey of all the addresses in the donut hole. I want you to know that regardless of my opinion regarding annexation, I conducted this survey as a neutral, unbiased party. I did not try to persuade or influence their answers. One of the questions that I asked was if they had been contacted by the city regarding the master plan for the donut hole or about annexation. The answers to that were the same from everyone. No one had been informed or asked questions about these recent plans by anyone connected with the city of Bandon. The next question that I asked was, how do you feel about the city of Bandon creating a new master plan and annexing all the properties in the donut hole? The choice of answers were, number one, I approve. I want my property to be in the city. Number two, I do not want my property annexed into the city. Number three, I don't care, or I abstain from answering. Number four, I want more information. The survey results, one person said that he would prefer that his residence was annexed. 53 people said that they do not want the property annexed into the city. 4 people either abstained from answering or said they didn't care. 15 people said they wanted more information. Clearly, the majority of the residents in the donut hole do not want to be annexed into the city of Bandon. The letters of support for the master plan and annexation that the planning director supplied for the TGM grant application were not from people who live in the donut hole. Mention is made that the owners of Gravel Point expressed interest in annexation and development of the adjacent parcels which are in the donut hole. The residents of the donut hole were not asked for their opinion on the master plan or annexation by the planning department. In closing, I want to tell you what I learned about the residents of the donut hole, and I want to thank those people for being so kind. I expected to just walk door to door and get a brief answer to the survey questions.
No, she can, I'm gonna let her finish. Please finish.
Instead, I met people who all had a story to tell of why they live, where they do, and what it means to them. Many welcomed me into their home to sit down and talk. Almost all had very strong opinions about annexation and compelling personal reasons to justify the way they feel. The donut hole has affordable workforce housing, multifamily housing, resident-owned housing, rentals, and the lowest land and housing prices in the Bandon area. The residents are working-class people, extended families, veterans, retired seniors who have worked hard all their life and are now on a fixed income. These neighbors include a large number of couples where one is disabled or ill and the other is their full-time caregiver. Most of the residents who are living in the donut hole can't afford to pay any additional fees, charges, or higher taxes. If this plan and annexation goes through, they will have to move, and they can't afford to move. You are going to displace a large number of people from their homes. The described master plan is economic gentrification. The donut hole is not just a big empty space full of gorse. The donut hole is a neighborhood of independent people who want to keep their affordable rural environment. Please consider these people when making decisions regarding the donut hole. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. My name's Lynn Ferry, and I live at 87201 16th Street Southwest. But I also have a home in the Jetty that I built in 98, and I've been here since then.
Okay.
I'm moving out of the Jetty because I want to get away from the city. I'm on a fixed income. My retirement is Social Security and property that I own that I don't rent out or lease. I needed to get into an area where I can afford to live. So I bought the place up there in 3 years ago on 16th Street. I was very unhappy to find out that next door to me was going to be Gravel Point, and that was city. And yet I'm right next door. I'm in the county. I don't want to be in the city whatsoever. There's nothing that the city can give me that I don't have right now. We have our own water, our own sewer we've paid for. We have a nice gravel road that's put together and finished at the cost of all the neighbors that are in the area. I don't see any water being brought down there because your infrastructure in this town is not the greatest. Your sewer system can't support it. So what are we getting out of this? You're gonna, if you take over the donut hole, basically what's gonna happen is you're gonna rezone, come in and rezone, and then you're gonna reassess what the property values are. The Bandon tax rate right now is 0.82%, and it goes up 3% a year. The rate in the county is only 0.71%. If you guys take over the donut hall, you need the extra money because you gotta support a truck that needs to be bought. You know, your system is on the verge, it's just barely hanging together, the water and the sewer. So you want more income. We don't want to pay for it.
Right. We need to say something here. Something needs to be said, okay? We cannot force you guys in. It is very clear from the information that you just, that if we went out, we would have to have over 50% of you would have to even indicate that you wanted to be annexed. And that is very clear from what is
Yeah.
presented. We cannot force you into annexation, and you need to sleep well with that,
Good.
with that.
Because I know that some developers out there, they're selling small pieces that you can't put a sewer and a watering because they're too small. And I know they're putting pressure on you about allowing them to sell those properties.
Well, there, you guys.
I know who they are.
If you stick together,
Yeah.
you don't want to be annexed. I do not think that you are, certainly not in our lifetime, you are not going to be annexed.
Okay.
Because what it would mean to the city, you think it's going to be a cash cow for the city. Quite conversely, there are a lot of areas there that don't have paved streets. If we had to bring in utilities, if we had to pave the streets, it would be a loss leader
Yeah.
for us.
And we're happy with the gravel streets.
Okay, and we're happy that you're happy. So please don't worry, don't lose any sleep.
Time
over it.
about this, not being able to develop in the wetlands.
Okay, don't lose any sleep.
Thank you
over it.
very much.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Sean and Dan Erickson.
Now we're on a different, now was there anybody else on this other? Okay, then let's go on to, have another issue of, and this is a far more serious issue of trying to live peacefully in your neighborhood. So
Yes.
go ahead.
Yeah, I live
Give
at,
your name and address.
Deanna's back there. She's got a hurt back, so she's gonna sit out while I read this.
Okay,
With that said, we both had something we wanted to say, so I want to read her portion as well, if I can have a little
okay,
extra
but
time.
give your name and address so you can get started.
My name is Sean Erickson. I live at 1124 4th Street Northeast in Bandon. And if I could be up here talking about the skate park, I would much rather do that. So approximately 3 years ago on a stormy night, the nephew of Raymond Wallace Ward, who lives at 1132 4th Street Northeast, is our neighbor, was running from the police with active warrants when he dumped a dilapidated RV in his yard within a few feet of my property line and right next to my bedroom. This RV ownership has never been investigated. It is not permitted to be lived in as a residence. But shortly after that, Wally's daughter, Christy Ward, along with several of her dogs, moved into this RV and has been causing chaos ever since. We only purchased a home security camera due to Wally Ward and his daughter Christy. And since then, those cameras have captured her chaos, including her dogs running loose in our neighborhood on countless occasions, chasing children, dog walkers, and folks who are simply wishing to enjoy a stroll. We have footage of their intimidation, of Christie's intimidation of the dog owners, and we've even seen her hit a lady across the face with her leash that her dogs were not on. Until the end of 2023, we made countless calls of noise disturbances, illegal unattended fires in their property, and dumping, illegal dumping, that were mostly dismissed with simple warnings under the illusion that Christie was benefiting Wally by maintaining his property. We have great neighbors. We live in a very nice neighborhood. We have great neighbors. I want to just say that real quick. Per Richard Taylor's advice, we have begun documenting the occurrences as of January 2024. And up to today, we have had to call the police 32 times. sent numerous email correspondences to Richard Taylor and to the Bandon Police Department with code violations and home security footage of the things that have been happening there. Since January 24th, Christie has started several illegal dangerous fires close to our property, below our low-hanging trees, and has not been fined. She has pretended to be unaware of the violations when the authorities arrive. On other occasions, Christie has placed a ladder over our fence against our tree so that she could see into our bathroom. Then she dug a hole underneath our backyard fence that she could fit through, which we blocked. All of these issues were reported to the Bandon Police Department, including on July 13th, 2024, when Christie stole a phone from my backyard while Deanna and I were at work. And we were only able to get it back by not pressing charges against her so that she would admit to the theft. She was, however, trespassed from our property for that incident, and she has been, since then, has violated that trespass on August 8th at 1:55 in the morning, where one of our cameras caught her standing next to our vehicle for unknown reasons in our driveway. And we are currently seeking action over that. That's paid. On August 6th, we received an email from Richard Taylor stating that the Bandon Police Department would be taking a zero tolerance approach towards repeated violations by the residents of 1132 4th Street Northeast, and that these issuing citations would happen for every event that she did, basically. Additionally, efforts are being made to improve the situation, is what we were told. But this couldn't be further from the truth, as several days later, after calling the police numerous times during Christie's dogs barking nonstop from 10 p.m. to 3 a.m., we were told by a Bandon officer that the owners didn't answer the door, and so they hesitated going back to the property because they didn't want to rile up the dogs. Then I put them on speakerphone so that the officer could hear the dogs barking, and I said, they're clearly already riled up. For hours, this has been going on. At one point, one of the officers even said that Christie wasn't going to be fined any further because she just won't pay it. So this is definitely not the first time that we've heard this from authorities. And so we're left to wonder if the unpaid fines should be amounting to a larger penalty or if it's the other way around. Through local conversations that we have heard, two other neighbors in Bandon with very similar issues had to get a neighborhood petition to get something done. And needless to say, all of the previous actions towards Christie Ward have prompted us to join together as a neighborhood and submit our petition here today, which you have a copy of. It has currently, I believe, 16 houses and 21 residents. And that was only the amount of signatures we could get in that time period. A lot of the residents asked us to go see other people. And we didn't have time for that. Let me find my place again. Deanna and I are local homeowners. We are business owners of a community-based business. We lose plenty of sleep over this. And our neighbors are, they're hardworking homeowners, just hardworking people, retirees, people who have earned the right to have a peaceful neighborhood. So we have received these signatures on this petition in hopes that something will be done. And a lot of the people in our neighborhood have said that they do not feel comfortable leaving anything of value in their yards. And that Christie will basically just steal those items, or that she will send her dogs to bite the kids in the neighborhood, which has been another issue. Each time her dogs disrupt our sleep, the following day she gets a quiet day of rest, and our neighbors are all deprived of sleep as they go off to work or attend their day. Christie was most recently, she most recently stole the scooter from a local girl who lives on our street, and she has been riding around taunting the girl with the scooter because she's at this point aware that she can commit basically any small crime she wants and nothing's being done. So this is the same way she's taunting the rest of us on a daily basis, including the city of Bandon. And tonight we ask for this to finally come to an end. And thank you for your time.
Thank you for your time.
Very much.
We'd really like to know, it's the same, to me, it feels like the same thing as the seagull issue, where the
Yep.
seagull issue just continues. And yet what do we do? I mean, we've cited the man, this is just an example of what happens when you've cited a person over and over and over again. It's unlike Christie, this man pays the fine. He's paid over $8,000 in fines and he just continues to break the law.
Has this
And,
woman been fined by the city?
well, she's been,
I'm sorry.
yes.
Oh,
Anybody, any of the rest of you guys want to say anything? Come on
this
up.
the same lady that got the Velociraptor dinosaur sculpture?
What'd you say?
the what?
The dinosaur sculpture?
Oh,
You stole that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
go ahead, give your
Sorry.
name and address.
David Jones, 230 North Avenue Northeast.
Okay,
And we've had issues with her, had to call the police. She's threatened my wife. She walks between our fence and the road with her dogs, half the time off the leash. And we have 3 dogs, little one, and then 2 medium size. And the dogs attack the fence. And of course, it gets our dogs real upset. And so we ended up, had the police come over. I've had to buy a camera as well as lights for outside in order to be able to document if she comes onto the property anymore. Because they said they can't do anything unless we have a documentation. So I'm out money to make my yard, quote, safe
Yeah.
for me to be able to live. And yes, I'm like the others. I can't leave anything outside that's of any value whatsoever. I can't have my fishing poles in my boat to be able to go fishing. I have to have them locked up.
What time of day does the dog fence fighting occur?
What's that?
What time of day approximately does the dog fence fighting occur?
Oh, they're
Is it all?
during the
times of
daytime.
day? Oh, during the daytime.
during the daytime.
Okay.
okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I'm glad it's not in my neighborhood.
Oh.
Anybody else? Come on up. Hold the mic there.
My name is Mary Boone. I live at 1108 Northeast Fourth. I haven't been in this place since '89, since I first had to come in, but our neighborhood has been, and we went through drugs. Then we went through the Jerry Soper burning down the house and everything. That's 3 doors down from me.
Oh dear.
And I know Wally. And when she moved in, I wasn't afraid. Our neighborhood is terrorized. You watch her going down the street with her cart. She is stealing things. The dinosaur, she is the one. People since probably from the fitness center on down are being terrorized by her. No one wants to leave anything out because she will take it. She doesn't care. We just saw her going down the street coming here, taking an old trampoline. She dumped it behind the Restoration Church. It is sad. I thought our neighborhood was great. She has terrorized it. And I don't know what's going to be happening. I know she's combative to the police. I've heard stuff what she's done to other people. Her dogs run loose. You don't want to even walk. If you don't even have a dog, her dogs will attack you. And something has to be done. You know, I don't think any of you guys could feel safe around there, you know.
Oh, my Lord.
So, and people have been bit, you know, so, I mean, I didn't think it would get to this, but it has. You know,
Yeah,
so.
thank you so much.
Oh.
Anybody else before we hear from the sergeant? Anybody else?
Gentlemen, start.
Right, Sergeant, do you want to go up to the mic?
I don't know if I need a mic, but I have a pretty good voice. Madam Mayor, member of the City Council, I appreciate the opportunity to speak tonight. I'm Sergeant Whitmer, Banning Police Department. I've been with the agency a little over 2 years, promoted to sergeant just over a year ago. I am aware of this situation fully and in depth on a personal matter from the beginning, from when Christy came to town. After speaking with Chief Dillon earlier today and the city manager, first and foremost, this is not a topic that is put on the back burner by us. This is one of many top priorities for us, believe it or not. To address some of the concerns that were mentioned tonight, the biting, the dog attacking people. Christy was personally cited in lieu of arrest by me for that incident. That was subsequently dismissed by the district attorney's office. Once my report is written, referred to the district attorney's office, I can only do so much. Okay, we understand the situations going on over there. Those are being worked on as well. Secondly, she has been cited several times for nuisance of dog barking, ordinance violations for the second motorhome that was on the property. It is my understanding after speaking with Richard Taylor that the motorhome on the property is allowed if they fill out the proper paperwork. That's being looked into as well, having the right permit to be able to reside in that besides the main residence. I have no legal reason to check the VIN number on that motorhome. People have their civil rights. I cannot go search something without probable cause, okay? We do our best to be creative at times to overcome a problem. This is without a doubt a problem, which is actively, like I said, being worked on. It is correct. Christy has been combative with myself, my officers, my chief, animal control, Richard. The list doesn't end. To go further in depth, most recently she was arrested by myself and Officer Carpenter for the theft of the metal Velociraptor. Successfully returned to the property owner. That was a win. Christy was booked and released at the Coos County Jail. 18 minutes later, she was arrested by Coquille Police Department for the same crime of theft too. This is an ongoing problem. This is a person that has little to no regard for the law, okay? Ordinances are one thing. We all know that. That's what the city puts in place to govern their city with what they need, correct? Criminal law is different. Ordinances don't trump criminal law. Now she is getting into the aspect, not just of that, but criminal law. Ordinances are, like I said, through the roof. I've given her citations, several ordinance violations. I've just basic patrol driving down 4th Street Northeast. I've seen her dog walk across the street, got it on my dashboard camera. In talking with her, she shoves her debris from her yard into the roadway. Another ordinance violation. She takes that violation, wads it up, and throws it on her property. Now, what I'm saying is this isn't just useless. And with all due respect, I would like to speak with Sean about his quote in the paper. Hands are tied due to the fact that fines are not being paid and therefore countless to the issue. I would like to know the officer that said that, and I'll speak with you privately if we need to. They have been directed by myself and Chief Dillon of a zero tolerance, period. She will be cited every time for every ordinance. Burning, I don't care if she has another trailer on the property, dogs barking, enough is enough.
So,
Zero
sorry,
tolerance.
could I ask a quick question about that? Are any of those citations tied to the property themselves?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
I was going to get to that. We've also been working with the city manager and Shayla to look at other, again, examples of trying to be creative and find other avenues. Regarding the motorhome issue, the woman staying on it, when I spoke with her, she was allowed to stay on the property by the property owner, Wally. I spoke with her. I gave her a more than reasonable amount of time to move her motorhome. She refused. The next day or days after that, I issued her a citation, issued Wally the citation because he authorized her to stay there, allowed her to stay in the motorhome. So it's a matter of going about it. Wally is, in my experience, a good gentleman. He is honest, hardworking, a very nice gentleman, respectful. We have a good relationship. He's over 80 years old and almost 100% blind.
Right.
He needs care. I'm also working with Adult Protective Services to get him the care he needs because in his own words, Christy helps me with what I need. Groceries, things of that nature.
Mhm.
He needs help. Again, getting creative to trying to find a solution to the problem. Now, the criminal problem that she has gotten herself into of 2 counts of theft, 2 in the 2nd degree, are a misdemeanor through Bandon and Coquille. She will have to, if the DA's office files on them and prosecutes, have to be held accountable for that. What she's looking at repercussions wise, I don't know. But I plan to strongly work with the district attorney's office to make sure that this is moved forward and that she is held accountable for her actions and decisions. Dog is hang on one second, I'm sorry. OS 609095 is dog of a public nuisance. That is a very long statute and basically you have to show a history of it, which we have. We are getting to the point of having enough to take possession of these dogs,
That would
okay?
be a
If
start.
she is gone, Wally obviously isn't capable of taking care of upwards to 6 to 8 dogs, several of which are puppies at this time, to take care of them. At that point, for care and custody of the dogs and the well-being of them, they will be taken for safekeeping. We have to be creative in how we go about this. Everyone has civil rights. Everybody is aware of that. She spends most of her time looking into loopholes, avenues that she can get in that are convenient for her. To my knowledge, correct me if I'm wrong, she has never showed up for one of her court dates of an ordinance violation. I have a strong feeling she's not going to show up for her court date of theft 2. So that carries a little bit more weight. That would be an FTA warrant, failure to appear. That is a criminal aspect, not an ordinance. So that being said, I live in this town. I understand that. I don't live in that neighborhood. Believe it or not, I am sorry. I am truly sorry to the 20+ people that have written and gone this far to sign this petition. It has not gone unnoticed. It has not gone without several emails between the city manager, the city attorney, myself and chief, animal control. Just the other day, I talked with Wendy from animal control, picking her brain. What avenue do we have to resolve this problem? It's gone on long enough. That being said, I wish you guys had patience with us. I hope you do. I hope you know that we're diligently working
I
on
just hope
this.
the neighbors have patience.
Them as well. Probably more than
What?
city
Worried
manager
about-
or city council, but they're the ones that deal with it on a nightly basis, losing sleep, calling myself and officers all throughout the night. They've done a great job between video evidence, bark logs, which we've asked for. I commend them for the job that they've done and the assistance they've given us.
I think you speaking tonight is going to help with the neighbors understanding where the city's coming from at this time. So
I
that's
agree.
communication is great for you guys and you can relay it to your neighbors.
Absolutely.
I have a question about the scooter that was stolen from a child. Was that ever reported as a theft? Because that can be another theft
Mhm.
arrest. That lady needs to make a police report tomorrow morning. Yeah, because as soon as she makes a report to the police department, they can act on it.
Where does
Correct.
Wally live? Does Wally live on that?
He lives on 1132 4th Street Northeast in the residence.
He lives,
Oh.
oh, he lives. in the-
Christie periodically, according to Wally, to the best of his knowledge, lives either in the motorhome with the dogs or on the couch inside the residence. Part of the reason we were able to solve the case of the theft, myself and Officer Carpenter received information and very good proof of who the suspect was who had possession of that statue.
Oh,
We proceeded to the residence, spoke with her. Shockingly, she was uncooperative. Again, we got creative. I can't search the property.
right.
But After I spoke with Wally, the owner of the property, who has tools in the shed and property in the shed, he has access to the shed. He granted me consent to search the property where the item was found and locked away.
Good,
We get creative. We do
Yeah.
not just show up. Do you have it? No? Okay.
right.
We really try to work with what we have and get creative, use our brains and resolve the issue. The issue with the scooter, is it the family with the two girls on North Street or North Avenue, right by Fourth Street? Great. I know him personally. Touch base with him tomorrow.
Okay,
I believe she works at a restaurant here in town. If she's not at home, I'll go to the restaurant and talk to her.
okay.
The scooter itself is, again, we have to go through the right chains. We
Sure,
have
of
to be
course.
able to prove ownership,
Mhm.
prove that it's yours.
Right,
I have no problem looking into that, but if I don't get the call, we don't get the call.
I know.
We can't do it. It's
understand.
good to know.
Yeah.
I highly doubt Christie bought a pink scooter and is riding around with it.
Yeah.
I'm more than happy to look into it.
Sure,
So,
of course.
like I said, I'm happy to speak with them tonight. I've spoke with several of the neighbors. I understand their frustrations. I do.
I do
From
too.
the bottom of my heart, I truly do.
Oh, yeah.
We are working on it.
I feel for the whole neighborhood. I mean,
Maybe this might be not necessarily, is it a mental health issue here that we're dealing with?
we
In-
can't talk about that in pub.
Sure we can.
There's a lot of different things I think at play. I'm not a psychiatrist or a psychologist. In my training and experience, I do believe that there is potentially that and other issues.
With all of this going on and with what we know with Coos County DA kind of being backlogged,
Yeah.
what is even sort of a guesstimate timeframe of when any sort of severe action can be taken?
I honestly couldn't answer that to you. I wish I could.
Yeah.
I was subpoenaed into a court case that I handled when I was a deputy with the sheriff's office almost over 3 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Just recently. To find that report was difficult. To
Yeah.
remember the incident was even harder.
Yeah.
They are extremely backlogged. We're trying to be understanding with everybody between the DA's office, the jail, the short-staffed with the sheriff's office, Oregon State Police. We are all in trying times. Our agency is flowering. We have a full agency. We have young, hungry, eager deputies. I had the honor of training all of them. I know their capabilities. I know their mindset, and I have the utmost respect and belief that they will do the best job they can.
I'm very proud of our police department. Very proud.
Is there any way to lien the property? If Wally is giving her permission to live there, is there a way to lien the property?
So without getting into too much
Come and-
detail,
Come from
there
Sheila.
there are some avenues being looked into. Again, I can't, not trying to be secretive.
Okay, that's
Um,
fine.
It's not.
A lot of creative ideas are being looked at. Again, like you mentioned with Shayla, she's very much in the loop. We bounce ideas off of her along with Richard Taylor and the city manager. We are looking into any
Looks
and
like
all
the heavies are
possibilities.
on it, so, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I appreciate the fact that the neighbors, I'm sad that they have to get to the point
Yeah.
where they have to come
Absolutely.
and do this.
Yeah.
I look forward to
I
the
mean,
day where
there
they get a
is-
good night's sleep
Oh,
and
yeah.
no dogs are barking. And
I hope you guys understand that they're on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
My heart
And-
goes out to you guys. It
Yeah,
really does.
I just can't imagine. My neighbor's dog barks once in a while and I go apoplectic and I mean, it's nothing compared to what you guys
Living next door to you if you own a dog.
guys go through.
we'll take care of it yourself.
Yeah,
If there's no other questions, I'll
no,
Just
we
please-
appreciate it.
Please keep us informed on
Yes.
this.
most definitely myself and Chief Dillon will.
All
Okay.
right,
right.
thank
Thank
you
you,
so much.
Sergeant.
Thank you, guys.
You're welcome. Thank you for.
So does anybody in the audience want to talk about something that isn't Donut Hole or dogs or Christie?
Okay. Oh, so with the new platform,
I thought we would
when they're
see them.
mic'd, do they come up on the screen so we know who it is or no?
Jill.
Yes, they become a panelist, so they get upgraded to become a panelist and you'll see their face or at least their name up here.
Okay, okay.
So their face will appear.
If they'd have the camera on.
Well, let's
Not
just
their
wait
name.
and see. It'll be a surprise.
It's a surprise, Mary.
Hey, surprises. Okay.
Jill.
Hi, can you hear me?
And
Hi, great. Thank you for hearing my comments, and I'm glad to be one of the initial Zoom testees. I wasn't sure if I was going to get on or not. So my comment is regarding some of the code changes that you guys have done, particularly section 11702, which is the height of the building or structure. And it was amended to say the height of the building or structure means the vertical distance from the native grade to the highest point of the roof, et cetera, et cetera. And the change was for any areas within the special flood hazard zone, height shall be measured from the base flood elevation. So my comment is that it appears that code change was more or less designed for the commercial zoning in the downtown area, but it is also affecting the special flood hazard zones in the jetty, and it is making it possible to build homes that are even taller than the 28 feet height limit. In the case of one of the new proposed homes, it will be 2.5 feet higher. And it seems to me like this will make it be sort of a race to the top in that particular area. And I'm thinking that perhaps you did not intend that when you made the code change. Thank you.
Jill, could you give us your address, please, for the record?
410 Madison Southwest.
Thank you.
Do we have an answer to her concern?
Sure, I'm happy to. Yeah, we made that change in the last code cleanup, and it was to address all properties that now have to be lifted out of the floodplain. So to sort of even the playing field, everyone's height would be measured from base flood elevation rather than from native grade, because the goal is to get everyone lifted out of the floodplain.
Makes sense to you?
Not really.
Yes.
So all
Are her
properties,
concerns-
yeah, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Are her concerns justified, I guess is what I'm wondering. Is something going to be 2.5 feet taller that like she just mentioned?
Yes,
the
so
check.
wherever the base flood elevation is, sometimes it can be a foot or it can be 2.5 feet. It ranges throughout Bandon, but yeah, so you would start measuring the house at base flood elevation instead of at native grade.
So it's different throughout the floodplain area of Bandon?
Not by much, but yeah, I mean, it depends on, so when you are in the floodplain, you're required to get an elevation certificate that shows where your grade is and then where base flood elevation is and then how tall your house is. So everything's measured by a surveyor down there. But yeah, so it can range based on which zone you're in.
You know, I have a comment on that. There's a house going up on 11th Street.
Pretty
much on. It is on.
It's on.
Yeah.
It is.
It's a long ways away from it.
Sorry about that. There's a house going up on 11th Street. And it's only a one-story, I understand, but because the property is a little higher than the house next to it, it's going to be much higher than that house. And I understand natural grade, but it gets to be ridiculous after a while. Is there any way in the future they could just get it level with the other homes?
We've discussed multiple ways of measuring height. I think it has been a pretty challenging way to make it what feels fair to everybody. Because native grade, the way that it works is it's the ground prior to any disturbance. And so if you have like a little bump on your property, if you put one of the walls on that bump, you get to be a little bit higher. So this was just a way to try to make it more even or fair for everybody, that height would be measured from base flood elevation versus some other options that we have discussed about height. If you chose the center line of the road, or you chose like what you were saying, like an average of the grades around you or something, particularly for the floodplain, though, we just chose base flood elevation as being the point at which everyone will be measured in the future. And it ranges, but the range is pretty small, about a foot. So.
Okay. I guess that answers. All right, is there anybody else that wishes to address the council? Before we go on to city manager comments? Do you have any comments?
No.
Hello? All right. Yes, I do. I would like to invite Sergeant Whitmore up. I think he's going to make a plea or call for support for the Cranberry Festival Parade. in light of lack of resources, we are going to seek volunteers to participate and help us out. Yes.
Me again. Hello. Yes, appreciate Chief Dillon, having me speak tonight. I enjoy being here.
Yeah, I bet you.
The, CERT program, who has helped out, a great volunteer program, that we've utilized for every parade to assist with traffic control. Basically, they do it all. They have all the volunteers designated to the intersections needed. We really just check in with them, see what they need. We're a backup support and they handle it. It is no longer. We're potentially looking at trying to get them back together, but as of right now, they are no longer in progress of working and being utilized. So yes, we put a plea out over the city Facebook page and also the Bandon Police Department Facebook page for volunteers. Luckily, I'm the only officer on duty for day shift on Cranberry Festival on Saturday.
That's poor scheduling.
That being said, again, being creative, trying to find solutions to the problem. We have 2 reserve officers coming in to volunteer to assist for the parade. I have one of our officers who's going to be home for the weekend from academy training, who's also going to assist.
How many people do you need?
Upwards of 12. Right now, we have my 3 officers, myself, who also has to be able to respond to calls, and I have 1 volunteer who is going to meet me in the lower lot down here at 9 a.m. Other than Dana offered to put on an orange vest and hold the stop sign.
Have you talked to the fire department?
I have spoke with them. Chief Sywell has put it out to his guys as well. Anybody that doesn't work or work in the parade in a fire truck is going to come out and help us. I have not heard of any that are actively wanting to do that with us yet. We're going to put another post out, I believe, and also reach out to the Greater Bandon Association to see if there's any volunteers there.
So what happened to Tony Chapman's, I know he had a heart attack at the last parade, at July 4th.
Yeah,
But didn't he have a cadre of people?
that's CERT.
I know, but are there, none of them are available?
So not only are they no longer in active duty, I guess you could say, to work, several of them who would volunteer are actually unavailable for that weekend. They're out of town or have other obligations. So we are bare bones.
The guys on our crew,
Public Works.
have we begged and pleaded?
Yes, we do have city staff working that event. So most of the Public Works Department are actually in the field for the event. Same with the electrical crew. I have out of town guests that I will parade over here at 9 in the morning. I'm sure
I have plenty of
like a
vests.
nice vest to wear that day. So
Reaching out to anyone that would like to volunteer and assist. We're meeting in the lower lot at 9 a.m. Basically a briefing, a location you're going to work at. We sign a release authorization form. And then from there, you basically direct traffic.
Circles in the sand. I bet their volunteers will help.
Not a bad idea.
Yeah, because I know that they're.
Well, they're
very
used
active.
to talking.
And
Huh?
they don't, they can eat gum.
She's right
A
behind you.
long summer, she's rolling her eyes.
Is that you? All right.
So how many
Where you stayed?
officers are going to be on duty for the street parade at night? Because I know Chief told
Yes.
me.
Yeah.
the
So
street
I was
dance,
gonna go into
excuse me,
detail of that.
the
So
dance.
I work day shift that day, by myself till 5. I will have 3 officers scheduled, 2, 5 to 3 a.m., 1, 9 p.m. to 7 a.m. I've also worked with the Oregon State Police, Sergeant Hill, who's bringing what we call the Dewey Task Force, the
Okay.
DUI Task Force.
Okay.
They're gonna be down here. We have, from the email I got the other day, 5 to 6 certified officers that will come down here and focus on DUI enforcement for
Okay.
several hours that evening. So
Because Chief said
fair
it got
warning.
so out of hand the last time they had a
Right.
dance here that he just basically turned the light on and, to try to discourage people,
Mhm.
but it was totally overwhelmed.
it's a blessing and a curse. I love the street dance. It's great. I think it's a great function, but it's got to be maintained and order has to be kept. But we will have 3 officers on, which is 2 more than last year,
Okay.
along with the DUI task force. And so I believe we'll be very well governed. The sheriff's office also has deputies on duty that night. They will most likely, knowing what we have going on, stay in the area for assistance as well.
Okay.
Did Jamie have any luck getting the alcohol monitors, volunteers? I know she was advertising for some.
We need volunteers. We just need volunteers, period, I guess. I'm not sure. The only thing I know I spoke with Jamie about was helping her with the booths, on Friday. If she needs help with that, I will be off duty that night, but available for assistance as well. So,
I don't know, she may have gotten people by now, I don't know. I just saw that she had advertised.
okay. So, oh, go ahead.
No, if you're finished, I'd like to point out that we made an allocation in our budget for CERT to do. I think we need to follow up on that. If it's an inactive organization, we're gonna have to step forward.
Yes, we have the finance director inquiring in on that. As
Did we, just because we just paid it probably.
correct. Yeah, we weren't informed that it was defunct. And so the
And they're
payment
also,
was made.
they're also managing those shipping container resource holding centers, and we were gonna have an inventory of that. Okay.
So,
Okay.
so I don't have to come up here. Should we brief about the North Coos dispatch?
Sure, I know that.
Yeah, we
there's a
might
lot
as
of
well learn more
questions.
about that.
I love all these topics tonight. No secret, the sheriff's office dispatch, what we call Station 5, is no longer in service per se. All of our calls have been transferred to North Coos Dispatch, which is located at Coos Bay Dispatch or Coos Bay Police Department. I haven't toured the facility since it was under construction. I've heard it's very nice. They've added several consoles and are growing even more now with adding Station 5. The biggest thing we want to make sure everybody is aware of, you call 911, you will still get someone. If you call 347-2241, the Bandon Police Department, even after hours, that is going to be directed to Coos Bay Dispatch. I just tried it tonight. It works.
Okay.
The only delay for that would be for non-emergent calls. You'll go through a short phone tree. For this, press 1, for this, press 2. Any life or death emergency in progress, emergency, 911, someone will be there. They're incorporating some of the dispatchers that worked for the sheriff's office in Station 5. We are in right now what's called a soft merge. After working with them and speaking with Chief Dillon, it's, knock on wood, gone very smoothly. Working with the dispatchers up there, relaying calls. We're also working on our CAD system as well. We'll no longer be working with CIS. We'll be working on a CMI system, which is what Coos Bay Dispatch has already worked on. That's going to take a little bit of time. We had IT here today working on all of our in-car terminals along with our desktops to update that so we can have our call log, print reports, type reports, do that. But the biggest thing we want to let people know, police, fire, medical, it's all still there, just
Okay.
a different dispatch center.
Okay.
The only people that have called me and asked me about it is how much of a delay. I said they should.
Totally.
Not for 911.
911 is a direct line straight to them. Yeah. And it's an emergent line that's usually picked up within the first ring. So it is, it's new. It's cause for concern. There were a lot of people reaching out. That's the biggest thing we want to let people know. The merge is going well. The sheriff's office is actively overseeing, along with Chief Dillon and all the other agencies here that will be under North Coos Dispatch.
So was this a matter of not enough personnel or not enough money in Coquille? Or just mismanagement? Years of mismanagement? I know you don't have to answer. I know the answer.
Actually,
I know the
you
answer.
ask hard questions. Let's just say it probably was inevitable over the future, no matter what. Happening this soon, maybe not. But realistically, I believe everyone wanted to
This will be
incorporate
a
one
better,
dispatch center.
okay, all right.
But yeah, I think it's just good we're moving in that direction.
Okay.
So thank you.
Thank you for everything you do. We do appreciate you. Let's give a hand for the sergeant. All right, so did you have more comments? Yes.
Yes, I have two more items. I'll
Okay.
refer to the planning director, Dana Nichols.
All right, the first one was we received notice on Thursday that the Gravel Point appeal up to Luba was remanded back to us. Our understanding, reading through it, is that it was remanded based on one sub-assignment of error that said that the street vacation, the way that we handled that, we put a condition of approval that said that the applicant would have to come back and get the streets vacated through a public hearing process with the city council. And that as part of that process, they'd have to replat the streets in the format that they provided as part of the application. We have a particular provision in our comprehensive plan that says when we review vacations, we consider a number of things like scenic views and wildlife corridors and wetlands. And because we did not either make that finding during the public hearing or put it explicitly in our condition of approval, that we would consider those at a later date, that we erred in the finding about the project meeting the comprehensive plan criteria. So we're still working through what the fix is, but we do have 120 days from the date that it was remanded back to us to correct that error.
Okay.
So we'll have more information for you at your next meeting.
Okay.
And then, sorry, the second one is we received an update on our transportation system plan. So if you remember, cannot remember what month we did this in, but we had a joint meeting between the Planning Commission and the City Council. We had a presentation from ODOT. The City Council expressed a desire to have more input from the business owners and property owners along Highway 101 that would be affected by any sort of proposed change to that area. In particular, we were looking at that alternative 3 that was sort of a combo of different ideas we had talked through. We had to, in order to move forward on that, we had to get an amendment to our existing agreement. ODOT was kind enough to give us additional funding to go through that survey process. And so we just signed that amendment recently and we'll have more information. I think they said they'll issue the notice to proceed on that part of the project next month. So if you're a property owner or business owner around Highway 101, you'll probably be hearing from ODOT before the end of the year.
But that doesn't mean something's going to actually take part on the highway.
No, this is just the
Don't
city
have any
council
surprises.
requested additional information, right? You guys wanted to know, what did people think about this? And so this will be a survey gathering some feedback
Okay.
that will be presented back to you. I think we asked them to push any sort of meeting with the city council until after the new year.
Okay.
So January.
Do you have anything
you.
else, Tori?
Nothing further. Thank you.
All right. Okay, Bear?
I have no comments other than I'm glad to be here.
Okay. Jerry?
No. No comment.
I have a couple of things. First of all.
Microphone.
Yeah, she's busy yelling at me, but then she's the main offender.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
I have a question for Tori or Dana, probably Tori because it involves Richard, our code enforcement. We are sending letters to property owners to clear gorse and mow grass, et cetera. And some of these properties are bordered by city property that has 6-foot and 8-foot gorse growing on it. And I can see the property owners that have contacted me about it's a waste of time and money for them to do it as long as they're surrounded by this gorse, because when spring comes and it blooms, the seeds drop and they got to do it all over again in like 3 years. So I would like to find out what we're doing about gorse control on city property.
Yes, perhaps Dana might have some details, but if not, we could provide a report back to the city council at the next meeting.
Sure, get back to
A
me
little bit more
whenever.
information.
Yeah,
On the status of the.
I'm just
gorse.
concerned because when people come to me, it's kind of like their last resort.
Sure.
So I just would like to have an answer, and I'm sure there's a lot of people in town that would like to hear the answer to that.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you. And I hope everybody has a happy and safe cranberry weekend. I think that's it. Now I can turn it off.
I just want to say that I appreciate so much the fact that our sergeant answered the people in North Avenue, that they understand that this, I've never seen so many city officials working on one problem as appear to be working on this one. So I just appreciate And it's so hard when you have people that thumb their nose at the law. I mean, we have them as seagulls feeding the seagulls, but that isn't nearly as egregious as not being able to enjoy the contentment of your own home. To me, that's just appalling. And I do hope that everyone enjoys the Cranberry Festival.
All I have tonight is just to thank our volunteer of the month, Sherry Wright. So if you see her about town, give her thanks. And I would like to remind everyone, we have added a Bloody Mary stroll for Sunday, the 15th of the Cranberry Festival. So please get your tickets early. We'll save you a Bloody Mary. We'll save you one.
See, by the time it gets to me, everything that needs to be said or that I wanted to say has already been said,
Right.
so.
Well, then move on.
Thank you all for coming and for your comments.
Peter, let me ask you a question. So people have to purchase tickets for the Bloody Mary stroll before Sunday?
Absolutely.
It's $40, right?
Yeah.
Just thought maybe you should
How much?
tell them it's $40.
We don't advertise.
Oh, see, they don't want you to know until you get, and then you're embarrassed because you don't have the $40 knowing.
It's easy to do online. It's,
Some of those Bloody Marys though, the last
I
time we
don't-
did it,
I
they were
know.
amazing.
you get them online.
Chris,
Oh, when you're talking, it sounds like you're over there, is it?
I am over there.
It's
No.
the speakers. The speakers.
No, because every time you talk, I look that way.
I know, I do too.
I know, everybody look, talking, everybody goes over there. I'm being shunned. No.
Start moving my mouth when you start talking.
No, I wanted to remind something that wasn't said. The Bloody Mary stroll tickets are, you get online.
Oh, okay,
Okay.
It's real easy. I just did it.
all right.
Aha,
good.
we know where you're gonna be Sunday.
So did you have any? Nothing? Well, I guess the meeting's adjourned and we
Right.
appreciate everybody who sat through.